What's going on, everybody? How's it going? Hello to Marani if you're still there. Hello to anybody else who might be tuning in and watching for the first time. Basically, this is our best of the week, or we just talk about the new books that came out this week and
What
go to
about
reviews.
Skip Dude?
What's that?
What about One Skip Dude?
I get in there, okay?
Sure didn't sound like it to me.
What are you, the defender of the people?
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
Do you rest your case?
I'll rest my eyelids here in a second.
Yeah, of course you will. All right. Anyway, though, what's up to One Sick Dude? Or One Skip Dude, whatever you prefer. Basically, for those who are new learner, basically what we do here is I show off the books I got this week, and I'll give a little spoiler review of each of them. So if you're not into spoilers, this isn't probably the best place to be unless you plan on reading these books. And I'll go read those and come back and watch this. But we are live on the vertical and on the horizontal YouTube formats here. If you want to switch to the other one, go to the live tab on the homepage and click for the one. Which one do you want to do? The one that has a phone in the front, that's the vertical. The one without it is the horizontal. But we're also live on Twitch too at Geeky Puppet Show. So, alrighty though. So, might as well get this going. Here and setting in for dinner, cheese, soup, mashed potatoes with tuna mussel, relaxants. Demand food. Yum yum. Fun. Let me change this so you guys can. There you go. And alrighty then. Kick Brian off the screen a little bit. But Brian, do you actually have books to show off tonight?
Nope.
No, none. All right. Number 10 this week. We got a little bit of Betty and Veronica pinup special. Exactly what it sounds like. For those who read Betty and Veronica back in the day, you get little pinups like this randomly in the books. So it's all the original artists in here. Harry Lucy, Danny DiCarlo, Rudy Lapek, Vincent DiCarlo. It's a lot of DiCarlos. Jim, Dan, and Vincent. Wow. I didn't know there was more than one DiCarlo. I thought there was only one. Apparently there's 3 DiCarlo brothers. But a lot of your classic tropes.
That's a DiCarlo to DiCarlos.
I know, right? A Carlo of the Carlos. If they all got in the Carlo together. So a lot of cool stuff in here. So if you're into Archie stuff, this is a lot of cool stuff to go through. Just read little one shots. Yeah, I'm kind of confused that they don't have Stan Goldberg in this. Did Stan Goldberg not do any pinups?
He might have been after the stuff shown in this.
Maybe. Cha.
Or maybe not, because that's a recent one.
Yeah. Some of these actually, they look like a lot of these are probably from like the 90s. I don't think they're from like the 80s or 50s and 60s because of the art style. Yeah. Definitely when you get stuff like this. This is more like recent. Yep. All right, and then of course is this the cover gallery, the variant covers you could have got. And then of course they always talk about this. If you want to go on there, you can get more fun digital comics, and then the merch store, which is kind of cool. You can get a 1941 Jughead Jones, philosopher. Foodie, basically, if you want to get that, get a t-shirt or get tumblers too.
Wow,
because that's the new thing.
He hacked his fucking arms off.
You watching a horror movie there? What are you talking about?
That might as well be.
No, I was just saying, look at this stuff. You can get the Honey or the Archies as a t-shirt. That's kind of cool. Or so. Yeah, this was $5 for this. Well worth money. Not in the top 10 countdown, but they did come out with the Invincible facsimile of issue number, I believe, number 75, I think it is. I think that's what it is. But basically, if you've never read Invincible, this is Kirkman and Ryan Ottley. And this is a story basically where he finally gets in the point in the book where he returns back to his normal costume. Kind of like Spider-Man. Remember Spider-Man changed his costume for a while? Went back to normal? All right. Number 9. We have Void Rivals. Void Rivals as issue number, I believe, number 30. No, number 28, actually. Yeah. Part of the Quintessence. Sorry. The Quintessence War. 4 of 6. It's okay. I said we found out that last issue that the main girl in here, Salia, had a brother, and this is kind of like an origin story to telling about what happened, how they split up. We've already seen her brother several times before when he left to go join this order, and of course this is her brother now. He's like a cyborg thing, and he's been wearing that helmet.
That's totally not Cyborg.
Yeah. So, basically, this whole issue is that we have the try kind of like judge thing. Doesn't Marvel have one of these the heads that float and change? Tribunal, Celestials, something like that. Yeah. So basically, Transformers had one too. Their heads rotate and they judge people, and pretty much they come to the black hole or the sphere here. They want to basically go after and free their monster that was locked away there too, and go after the Zerta, who is the Autobot or Cybertronian who created this planet. And while some of the people survive, or at least not survive, but they surrender. But then the guys they said no more, give you a chance to surrender, but you guys fought us, so they basically slaughtered them all. And of course, this leaves basically the rest of the team for them to basically say, well, they're gonna have to commit down. And so the guy is like, we're not gonna give up, we're gonna keep fighting now, because either we die and surrender and die, or we fight and we die. And else we got the Cobra Law. I've also been observing what's going on in this planet here too, and their ship gets shot down, stranding the main highness or princess of Cobra Law, and their ship. Yeah, so she's stranded now on that planet. So you get a little character spotlight in the back here, which is nice. So you have Salia, who's the main girl. Then you have the All Hail Tribunal, and then you have the creator spotlight on talking about her brother. But it says, as far as this goes, it's been okay. But like, out of all of the Transformers, what do you want to call it? The G.I. Joe crossover stuff, this has been the weakest book. It started out strong, and now it's just kind of like, I don't care about all the extra. It's like all the extra characters that were mentioned in the Energon universe are thrown in here. All the side characters that nobody cares about. The Skoxoids, and we got all these little snake guys now, squid guys. No one gives a shit about them. Maybe people who are really diehard fans about Transformers are like, oh, cool, I recognize this character. For the most part, I'd rather just read Transformers and G.I. Joe, which I'm probably going to start just dropping this book then. But if you want the full story, this is Robert Kirkman writing this, which is a shame because Robert Kirkman's a good writer. I liked Invincible. I liked The Walking Dead. But compared to Joshua Williamson, and I forgot who's...
Damn it!
And, yeah, Josh Williamson doing J. Joe. Robert Kirkman's also doing Transformers, but his Transformers book is kind of iffy, and that's controversial too. People didn't like the last issue, taking away Optimus Prime and just making him Optimus now, giving up his leadership. So people are questioning now because Jenny Warren Johnson was kicking ass on that book. But yeah, this was number 28 for $4. All right. Now on to number 8, or at least my book up or my list here, pile. So Justice League Unlimited, number 17. You may have saw from the thumbnail as far as what happens in this book, but since it's just the events taking place right after the KO DC KO events basically ended, this is the aftermath. Now they're pretty much Batman and Wonder Woman hold a team meeting, pretty much explain what's going on. Before that, though, some terrorists are taken out by Gigantus, Starro, Lex Luthor. Then they're calling themselves the Justice League. And, people are like, what? Like, what? Like, why is Lex Luthor Gigantus? Yeah. Meanwhile, up in the Watchtower, Red Tornado's talking to Blue Beetle, and Blue Beetle's pretty much being written kind of like a Keith Giffen story in here. I've been loving the comedy bits he gets. And they've been noticed that basically after Superman pretty much won, became like the Omega King, whatever it is. He basically fixed everything. He unterraformed everything, basically, like because everything was turning into Apocalypse. Now it's being reverted back into basically normal Earth, and they don't know what's going on. They know a little bit, but they don't know what this energy shows up, and they're freaking out a little bit. Even Terrific's kind of stumped. He's like, maybe we should try to contain it, and all of a sudden, all of the heroes that were inside the KO event, plus the villains, come rushing out of it. So they're now back now. Are you okay? I'm not okay. I am the furthest from okay. But thanks for asking, though. Cat Lev, who's watching over on the Vertical. And hello to Cheeseburger. What's up? So, so Beetle pretty much, is kind of like, notice that everyone's like, hey, didn't we win? Why is everyone so gloom? So, and because they know exactly what happened, also the stuff the choices they had to make inside the actual event. But yeah, so basically at this we get a nice little recap. Plus, we get Batman telling the story exactly what happened, and then with Superman sacrificed, and he's not dead. And he's talking. Wonder Woman tries to interject, but he cuts her off again and continues talking, saying, just like, So we'll find out, remember that in rejecting the Omega power, Superman sent a message that, or she says that hope is not a competition. And he says, like, yeah, in order to save up the next crisis, we need to all work together. They're all wondering where the energy went to. Is like, and so Captain Atom, if you don't remember him, he was in the Keith Giffen's Justice League back in the 80s, early 90s. Pretty much he was one of the leaders, and so he still is. I like about this. So he actually answers some questions too. And as there's some events that are going to happen, but they all need to work together to try to prevent them. They got a glimpse of the future. Meanwhile, we have it looks like Girder, and we have Airwave. I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's Airwave. It's Airwave, Stargirl, and Kid Flash are pretty much going to basically fight against them. It's kind of cool. So you see Stargirl. And as they basically go to take it down, or help, stop stuff, and they realize that they actually the villains aren't trying to be villains; they're actually trying to help do stuff. So they're kind of freaking out a little bit. It's like, what? What are you guys doing? And pretty much Batman and Superman have a little spiff here because she doesn't like what's going on. She hates the fact that he basically cut her off and started mansplaining a little bit. She's like, he's like, how dare you cut me off in front of the others? Before I could even float the idea. He's like, because Batman's like, because I'm not so, because I maintain there's an alternative to the, to atonement of an open vote to a witness. He's like, he's like, Captain, could you join us, please? It's like, Diana, felt well against your proposal against everything instinct I've ever had. I'm not convinced that I can pull that lever. And Captain's like, what are you talking about? He says it seems Wonder Woman and a few others in the tournament have shared part of Epiphany, apart from their glimpses of personal destiny. Darkseid's final attack is inevitable. We don't know when or what form it will come, but we can certainly say that the stakes will be higher than we were this time. And so we get to go on them. They're going into the Phantom Zone. This is kind of cool. And there's only one person who's in there who's actually the warden. They made him, and then that's Mon-El because he has a disease, and he's if he comes out of there, he'll die. So they go to him, and they basically start asking, what are we supposed to do with the people? We're shorthanded. We need help. So what they do, Batman's proposal. Giganta, here's a Justice League card. Harley Quinn, here's a Justice League card. Lobo, welcome to the Justice League. King Shark, welcome to the Justice League. Lex Luthor, welcome to the Justice League. And it's like, what? Well, Lex Luthor has proven that he's actually been good. Harley Quinn, I don't want her anywhere near the Justice League. That to me is horrible. And I'm guessing this is going to be short-lived. I don't think. Now, here's the thing. They haven't really said yes. Lex Luthor is the only one you can see smiling about it. Now, I don't know if this is supposed to be evil Lex now, or we're supposed to be still Lex that's good. But it seems like the status quo is like Lex is back to being Lex. And then we get a Wonder Woman 31 preview in the back here by Tom King. I'm not even going to talk about that. But
you know what I think DC may have a small problem with?
Making villains?
No, understanding.
Or retconning
Not
things?
understanding that DC comic book fans don't like Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
And haven't for 20 years. That character appeals to cosplayers.
Exactly.
And Twitter warriors.
Exactly.
And they shouldn't be.
And Gooners, pretty much guys who get off, looking at because she's cute and whatever. But her personality-wise, she's a villain. There's no redemption for her.
Last time she was written worth a damn, outside of like the early days, was Tinian. That when Joker took over Gotham,
Joker War.
Yeah, but it wasn't Harley Quinn. It was it was another character that just happened to be Harley Quinn. So if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It was Harley Quinn written actually decently, not just her just being
but given her past, it still made no sense. But at least that version of her wasn't annoying as F.
Well, it was her written basically with the whole thing is that Batman won't kill, and she realized that the only way to stop Joker from being Joker and slaughtering those people is killing him. So and with the way how he basically fucked up Batman in the head, she wanted to basically she was going to go kill him. But she didn't know that he had a bomb planted, basically. Yeah. All right. And hello to Zeus. What's up? 6-7. Cool, bro.
This game has been amazing, by the way.
Has it?
I know you, because I know you care.
I don't even know. It's a basketball game or a bird game?
Yeah, I know. That bird game has been over for hours.
Okay. All right. Going on to number 7.
1 point game.
Yeah. Number 7, a Side Street. I went with the Mr. X-Ray Invincible cover because I just love this mashup. It's awesome. This is cover D by Ivan Reyes. This was, I believe, $4 still, $3.99, and we get the Butcher of Hyde Street. We're learning more about him. Last issue, we saw that he was locked up in the castle with Frankenstein and Hyde Street there, and he was locked up for a reason. We don't know why, but he's supposed to be a terrible person. We're continuing back our story with little Pranky, who's basically had the werewolf mask. He stole from Mr. X-Ray's storage, and he couldn't get off. So he put the X-ray. They went to the surgeon. He said, put the X-ray glasses on him and let him. And basically, once he basically through some mental shenanigans, the glasses will come off. So, and we're seeing what he's saying. We're into his little dream, the nightmare, because the butcher of the Hyde Street is basically part 1, and basically he's going to a camp Manzanar, Manzanar, which looks like we're going into the 1940s Japanese camps, internment camps. And it's just, and we're seeing him. There's his mother, and then he's like, "What the heck?" He recognizes her, and he basically, sees that she's getting attacked, and that's his dad, and turns out that she's pregnant. And he's watching all this stuff. She gives birth to him, and immediately she's like, "Oh yeah, I bring my baby," but then they decide to basically take away him and give it to the father. He's a war hero, and she's like, "Give me back my baby." And he basically gets angry, goes all demon stuff, tries to interfere, and as he's going to attack this guy and stuff, he gets shot. You're like, okay, and all of a sudden he's like, "I actually felt that. What the heck? I felt that. I shouldn't feel that." And she's like, "Give me back my boy," screaming stuff, and he's crying. He's like just trying to figure out, no, they're gonna kill his mom. And all of a sudden, a knife goes through the guy's neck, he kills him. He's like, "Who the heck is that?" Dude, what is that from? This is Hyde Street. These are just right now, currently through all Image book titles, they're doing Invincible variants for every single title. So this is all it is. They're just, this is one of their variants they did. Covers to tribute to, because now it's Invincible variant month. So Butcher of Hyde Street basically shows up and in Prinky's little nightmare dream, and tells her, "Hey, go to your mother now," while the scorekeeper can't see her, and he basically gets a reunion with his mother, and he's on stuff, and then she gets ripped apart and pulled away, and he's like, "What's going on?" It's like the scorekeeper. He's like, and he says, like, he's like, "Hey," he's like, "She took her back to his darkness." He says, and Frank is like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm a prisoner here, like your mother was. She deserved better. We all do." He's like, "Bring her back." He's like, "I can't get to her, son. I promise that I'll do it after you help me." He's like, "What do I have to do?" "The doorway's been cracked open from the outside. Free me before it closes. Scorpion will never let me leave. I know too much about him, about Hyde Street." So they make a deal. He's going to help free the Butcher Hyde Street, who ultimately, I don't know what his goal is, to either take over Hyde Street or eliminate the scorekeeper. All we know is the scorekeeper pretty much is not to be trusted, and he's almost like a devil. We don't know what. All we know is that the Hyde Street appeared in the 1800s, and souls wander on there, can never leave unless they bring in 10,000 souls to free themselves. So we he comes out of the thing, the mask pops off, and the surgeon's like, "Okay, we'll take the glasses off." We also learned that Mr. X-Ray tried to rebel against the scorekeeper, and the scorekeeper melted his eyes. And then, as we humiliate him, he took the cheap X-ray fake X-ray glasses and gave him that, so he can only see with the X-ray glasses as an insult and injury. And all of a sudden, he sees his daughter appears out of nowhere. He's like, "What the heck, my daughter?" She's like, "Dad, it's me. It's like, been looking for you all these years and stuff. Finally found you." He's like, "What, Judy?" And at the end, pretty much she gets pulled away into the void, and you're like, "What the heck?" So part 2 of Butcher of the Hyde Street is going to be next month, but this is starting to look really good. So they're going to war with the scorekeeper. This was $3.99. Like I said, Hyde Street was basically the horror book that Jeff Johns has been doing with Ivan Reyes over at Skybound, or not Skybound, sorry, Ghost Machine, which is basically through Image. Definitely, if you've not been reading these, check them out. It's this issue 11. So, you could probably find the first couple issues, or for cheap. I think they have some trades out as well. All right, number 6 is Punisher. Number 2. I was stuck with this cover. I don't know, that's okay. It's the Jigsaw under Frank's face. Kind of freaky. Basically, Micro's helping Punisher, and Punisher doesn't really trust him. There's something wrong with his head. Every once in a while, he basically has a psychotic break, and he basically is in pain, and he basically locks up. And I don't know what's going on with him. And he's like, "Here, find me help." And he's like, "Oh, I can't do this. I need a sandwich first. I'm hungry." And Punisher pretty much puts the fear of God into him because he still doesn't trust Micro because his head's all fucked up. So they go to a doctor, so a neurosurgeon. He's like, "Yeah, we did some research on you. You're dirty as fuck." He's like, and you're gonna help us, or else my friend's gonna get rough on you, and you don't want him talking to you. He's like, "Why doesn't your friend speak?" He's like, "Because he talks through violence," and the guy doesn't know that's Punisher, and a cop shows up. He's like, "Hey, what's going on?" He's like, "Yeah, these guys are bothering me," and Punisher pretty much smacks the guy into the wall. It's a security guard and knocks him over. Meanwhile, we have this girl from she's a former anchor woman. And she was covering the Punisher stuff, and her boss pretty much kicked her to the side, to clear off the stuff for whatever reason. So she's kind of like our Ben Urich kind of type here in the storyline, where she's covering and trying to figure out who this guy is, and because Punisher's supposed to be dead. So she's writing this article and stuff when she's not supposed to be. We got this gender here too, and he's kind of like watching her, and so she doesn't really pay attention. So she comes back and she gets this note on her desk, maybe at the Noir bar. And we see it's actually Jigsaw, who's basically been wearing people's faces and then throwing them away. Now, this might be new for Jigsaw, but we saw this at Batwoman CW, the show. His name was Mouse. He would basically he got it from his dad. His dad was a plastic surgeon. He would take people's faces and wear them, to pretend to be them. Meanwhile, Tombstone is locked away. If you want to see what happened to Tombstone and Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, and Punisher, check out the first 5-issue. I think it was a 5-issue miniseries. I'm not sure. I don't think it was 6, but it was called Punisher Red Band. Check that out. It was really cool. But he's locked in there, and basically he's being blackmailed to sign over all his warehouses stuff, all his shell companies to Jigsaw. And he's like, "I ain't gonna do it." And he's like, the guy's like, "Well," he's like, I'll pay what do you want?" He's like, "No, he already got to me." And the guard is like, "You're gonna do it, or you're gonna rot here." And Jigsaw's already threatened to kill his family if he doesn't. And then we get another stupid shit from Marvel. I hate this shit. Can superheroes unite under Norman Osborn? No, because he's a fucking villain. He's another Harley Quinn or Joker. He should not be a good guy in anything. But anyway, that's a rant for another day. Punisher is getting an MRI scan, and it turns out the guy said there's nothing wrong with him. It's all psychological, and there's nothing I can do. He's like, and Punisher, and Micro's like, it's like, dude, you have to do something. There's obviously something wrong with him. Punisher pulls a gun on the guy. But he was like, "Oh shit, you're the Punisher? I had no idea." I'm thinking who else would be intimidating like that? But then I guess in Marvel universe, everyone's freaking hulkishly big. And of course, as Punisher is getting ready to kill him, he has a migraine, horrible, and he pays attack, and he falls over and drops the gun. And the dude's like, "See, there's totally something wrong with him." He's like, "Dude, I checked him. He has so many concussions and stuff, and he's had multiple aneurysms, and they've healed. This guy should be a walking, drooling mess. The fact he's able to do anything is beyond my control. There's nothing I can do." He's like, it's psychological problem he has. He's like, "Here, take some lithium or lithium here. See if it works as a stabilizer." He's like, "I'm out of here. Leave me alone." And pretty much we have Punisher kind of like this. He's been having these psychic attacks at all, and he basically breaks down the pain so much, and he's just trying to get his life together. Meanwhile, we got the girl, the news reporter, going with their cameraman, going to the bar, the Noir bar. Turns out the Noir bar is pretty much where all the criminals, that we used to work, under the Kingpin and stuff. Where Tombstone basically took over the Kingpin spot, and all the underlings, and they don't know who's called who to all order, why they're there. All they know is that Tombstones is in prison, but it turns out it's basically the guy called on together is obviously it's Jigsaw wearing another mask, and it sounds like he's gonna kill everybody, but yeah. So that's this was only what, $5. This is Benjamin Percy. It's kind of a quick read. He's still kind of world building a little bit, but I think this book will actually get a lot better. Benjamin Percy is probably one of my favorite I want to say graphic, probably a graphic violent, kind of writers. I wouldn't say he's up to as far as talent as Garth Ennis when it comes to writing Punisher stuff, but he does understand the character, and he's not trying to do what Jason Aaron did by fucking up his head, and shit, and bringing his dead wife back together and saying like, "Oh, I was gonna dump you anyway, you fucking loser." Yeah, so this has actually been a way much better improvement of Punisher books we had in like a long time. All right, getting into the top 5. Top 5 for me this week. Number 5 is Iron Man. Number 3. Iron Man number 3 is we got the cover art here, which is actually the variant cover. I believe her name is Carmen Carrera. I think they put the title in the back book. That's the only bad thing about these books. They don't have the credits in the front. They're supposed to. Oh, here, yeah, it's Carmen Carrera and Josh Joshua Williamson writing this. So Stark is on Madripoor Island here, and he came across basically MODOK, who was basically bathing in this little bath here house with all these women, and he basically goes to talk to him and he wants to get information about what's going on with A.I.M and stuff. And while he's being attacked here by all these goons, A.I.M goons, he ends up pretty much defeating them. And then we have also this person shows up in this kind of like outfit here. Kind of reminds me of shit. What was Captain America's old friend? The one that he turned out to be gay.
I don't know.
Sorry, with a D, wasn't it? It was one of the. He's one of the Defender. D-Man, was it gone?
Yeah, it was D-Man.
D-Man or Demolition?
Yeah, he got red. Yeah, he got red. His sexuality got retconned.
Yeah, but we don't know who this is. Some guy mystery shows up, and Lehman Stark's like, "Who the fuck are you?" He's like, it's like, he says, "I'm a warning. We're watching you," and I'm thinking like, because he's got the Captain America freaking boots on. It's Captain America trying to be someone else. I doubt it's Swordsman or like that. He's like, anyway, so MODOK pretty much tells him, "Hey, A.I.M pretty much abandoned me," or it's like where we have differences after the whole Dooms, thing, taking over the world. We can't be serious about D-Man. Yeah, that was like they retconned that in the early 2000s that he was gay. But in the and also the Captain America book, they had him. The one I think it was like Lansing Kelly. He finally died, and then Sharon took over his identity, superhero identity. So yeah, it's kind of dumb. But no, you get this cool arm, flashback. Her and him basically telling the story about A.I.M and stuff. I don't know, we're at odds now about what to do. So he gets called back because he has to go on a date. And he forgot about with this girl. I think it was like Mia May or whatever her name is. So he ends up calling God, what her name is? The girl, not Avalanche. What's the girl's name that from the freaking the one that from Age of the Shield, Mom Wing or whatever her name is? Emily?
No, I can't remember.
It's like Melinda.
Melinda May.
Yeah, Melinda. Yeah, Melinda May. So he ends up calling, and apparently she's following up some information about whereabouts too. He takes Monica away, and he shows up in his first date with Luna, and on his little beach chair and all these little like food truck stuff, and she runs like a restaurant and stuff, and just is someone a girl he met in the first issue. They're having a date there, and it's all nice. They're all flirting and stuff, and he has a flashback about his dad. He's been talking about it's been a long time since he's built anything, specifically for himself. And he kind of copes with it, doing his MLMs. Tony Stark saying, "Oh, what am I talking about? That's wrong. I built a ton of stuff for my, motorcycles, cars. Just the other day I was building." And she kind of calls him out. "You're kind of having a moment, weren't you? A real moment. I got to see the real smile of not Tony Stark, but Iron Man, because that's who he is. He's not Tony Stark. He's Iron Man." That's what they're trying to say in this book, I guess, with Josh Williamson, that Tony Stark is like Batman in a sense, where Iron Man is who he is. Tony Stark is just, the means to an end.
Well, his identity is public, so it really doesn't.
Yeah. But his real personality, though, I said, is pretty much Iron Man, how he handles things. But anyway, as they're busting about the kiss, they get cock blocked by Pepper, who looks like she just stepped out of Walmart or pajamas or a bed or all that. It looks really homey. And it's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were gonna be here." He's like, "Okay," he's like, "Whatever." And it turns out they know each other. He's like, "Yeah," he's like, "We hired her for carrying Tony. Don't you remember in the first issue, pretty much?" He's like, "Oh yeah." And he gets a call from Melinda, and he was kind of awkward for him seeing his ex-girlfriend and his current girl he's trying to date, kind of like. So Melinda calls him. She says, like, "Your lead was solid. There's an A.I.M civil war happening. They're they're stabilized without a leadership or A.I.M." He's like, and he basically kind of like does what he does. Tony says, "Did you just make a pun?" She's like, "How dare you?" Anyway, so she basically says, "I don't need any help." She says, "Listen, Madame Masque was building something here." Mona, and they said that, he says, when I ran Shield and I built my own very hell kill carrier, it was stolen and crashed, and I thought it was broken down in the scrapyard. I'm not sure when he did this, but he built his own hell carrier. And it turns out Madame Masque has been using it. So he goes on there, he uses the stealth armor, and talks about, he kind of brags about, how he basically, since I built it, I know how to disable it, how to get into it without being detected. And he locates all the missing people. The other thing that was going on in this book is that in the very beginning, she was kind of annoyed because they're trying to like create the next Tony Stark, but for their own purposes. The kid that was basically won the Tony Stark award, it was about to receive a nomination. She's kind of annoyed at the fact that he's not trying to build anything. He's just basically they're biding his time. He did hack their mainframe so he could check on other people, make sure they're okay. And she's like, "Well, fuck it, maybe he just needs some motivation." So she go there, they basically terrorize him, and just as you see, they just keep tasing him stuff. So Tony's on there. He basically he finds out the locations of everyone that was kidnapped. They're in escape rooms, pretty much set up. And then of course, Madame Masque shows up, and he fires his repulsor at her, but it turns out it's a hologram. And pretty much she says, like, she's like, your scans tell the hologram. He's like, "Yeah, worth a try. I know what you're doing though, Whitney. And I don't need you don't need to create another me. I'm right here. Let them all go. You can do a real deal instead." She's like, "Or another option." She's like, "You all stay." And he's like, "What is this?" Pretty much he's got this kind of like thing going through his mind here. And she's like, She's like, I want to create a new you. I do, but he's like, I didn't steal that idea from you. It's like I found your hidden files. All the ideas you buried, the evil ideas that you had that you would delete. She's like, you always were your own worst enemy, Tony. Now the last time you thought you were going to die, you built an Iron Man armor. And she's like, what are you going to do now? So he's pretty much trapped in the Hellcarrier, possible situation. But so far she hasn't personally killed anybody, but there was one guy who basically had he created a device that called him basically travel through multiple realities. And when he was going through one reality, though, in the beginning there, turns out that teleporting that there was no wall there. So when he came to this one, though, he got stuck in the wall, not knowing there's a wall in this part. So kind of horrific. But other than that, I haven't seen her use her gun and shoot anybody, though. So she's evil, but not evil. And this was because it's a variant edition. This was $4.99. But I think the title is $4.99, no matter which one you get, normal or variant. That was pretty good, though. It is very much MCU Tony Stark, though. You're getting the what's it called? Robert Downey Jr. version. And if you're not a fan of that, you're not gonna like that book, probably. If you're looking for older versions where he did not date Pepper and she was with Happy, you have to go back and read the 60s and the 70s and even the 80s, I think. So I think that when did Happy get killed off? 2000s?
Yeah.
Early 2000s? Or retcon or whatever. But all right, number 4. Number 4 is issue number 35, the Saturday Morning Adventures of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Been liking this series. We've been reading this on Saturday after evenings on the channel here, and pretty much Donatello. Basically, the Pantheon's last issue. Basically, they used the portal technology that they got from working with Krang and what's it called, Shredder, and they brought their fortress out of its pocket dimension onto Earth and started taking over. Donatello found a way to sneak in with the help of the neutrinos, and Zack, Kayla, and Dask. They're their allies from Dimension X. So you can see everybody here is involved. You even have Dirk. I love this. Dirk Savage, who's basically the Nick Fury, and then you have all these other characters in there too. You've seen from in the past issues: Mongo Gecko, Metalhead, Bakari, and stuff, and Mona Lisa. So basically, yeah, Donatello's now trapped on there, and the one thing I've loved about this series is that the bad guys are dressed like Tubbs and Crockett from Miami Vice. So I don't know why. There's never an explanation. It's just supposed to be a nod, I guess, to those characters. But they're gonna attack Donatello, but Donatello uses his little smoke screen and stuff, and basically he's gonna follow them back to their main computer hub so he can rewire it, because right now Shredder and Krang have control of their robots, managed to take control of them, and the Pantheons are not happy with that, so he's gonna go to the main control panel and try to take it back. So we got these little quips here, stuff. Michael and basically the robots were shut down, but then Krang activated them, and Michelangelo and pretty much is like, dude, what the hell did you do? He's like, and Raphael's like, I didn't do anything, I swear. He's like, yeah. Leo's like, it's like, of course, Well, he's like, well, someone did something. So, and then of course the neutrinos show up and pick up the turtles. And he talks about how Donatello found them a way to get through the force field. And turns out it's using one of their songs, their favorite tunes. Yeah, it has the right frequency to get them through the portal. So they drop them off. They go back and leave the go help Splinter and then the rest of them. And so the Ninja Turtles go in there, basically help out Donatello. Turns out Donatello is behind the device, was actually rewiring it, and they're kind of really pissed off about that. And so all the turtles are pretty much fighting against all the Pantheon members. Donatello starts rewiring before and pretty much turns it, instead of like setting it up, it would be self-destruct, and he didn't want to turn the force field on because the military would blow it up and just cause so much damage to the city. And so what Donatello says is like, hey, I rewired it, guys, but we got 60 seconds to get out of here. You better call the neutrinos, come here, get the hot rod up here so we can get out of here. You know, if they're not here, they're like, well, what do we do if they're not in like 6 seconds? He's like, we jump. He's like, we jump? He's like, I hate you. Ramio's like, I hate you so much. Only for the neutrinos to save him at the last minute. Turns out Donatello didn't set the self-destruct. He set their warp drive. So basically, we'll send them off until they don't know where, but they're gone. And at the end, pretty much, they have their little like goodbyes with the neutrinos. And then basically, we get Krang telling Shredder, and he's like, it wasn't a bad thing, actually success. We got you out of your little transparent, like, stuck between dimensions, brought you forward, and now I have access to my improved new body and all this stuff, and we have a portal now, working portal now, so we can get more robots. And of course, and then leaves the villains who are trapped somewhere. They don't know where they are because he damaged their console. And at the end, the neutrinos are basically hanging out with the turtles. They have pizza party, because that's what they always do at every episode. If you watch the 86 cartoon, they're always having pizza at the end. And of course, something happens, so now they have to go because there's a Sasquatch loose in Central Station, and so next issue though is giving off like a fairy tale kind of thing, the wizard stuff. So I said this is pretty much in the same tongue in cheek as Teen Titans Go. Really like it with the action. It's very much like the original cartoon. So if you're a fan of watching that growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, yeah, it's pretty much nostalgia bait, but with good stories too. Continuing. Plus, there's callbacks to the original characters and villains that are popping up. And turtles breaking fourth wall. Alrighty then. Calvary, Melinda May. I do not trust the new girlfriend for Tony at all. Yeah, that's usually a cliche thing too. The trope they've been using lately is that the girlfriend is a good innocent and turns out to be a bad, echoing in Dyer's Moomji from their Stain days. Okay. Well, I was just saying, the most recent example of the girlfriend going bad was actually in Blue Falcon and Dynamite story that Jimmy Palmiotti wrote. But anyway, my number 3 is through Image. This is Feral. This was $3 or $3.99. Issue 21. This is a silent issue because the main character he's called Ghost because, well, he's pretty much a mute and he's deaf, so he can't hear anything. So last week left off, they were all the cats pretty much were taken hostage by the, I guess I want to call it Humane Society or military, came out, rounded them all up, pound. So they're all inside these cages, and nobody knows what's going on. But we know the Moosh is the big dog, and his buddy's looking at him. He's staring at him. He's like, he's trying to figure out. He's trying to read stuff. But we also, through a little love about Tony Fleeks has been doing, is that he tells the story through other means like this. We see the guy's chart. We're like unresponsive to stimuli, hearing impaired or deaf, and he's looking at the cat. No scratches, no, stuff. And so they're like, so, and pretty much we get the nice little splash page here. Ghost story. That's really cool. And it's basically Ghost pretty much breaking free after Moosh wakes up, knocks people over. His cage gets busted, and he's able to get out. So he basically leaves, and he starts exploring everything. Only after seeing his buddy Moosh being getting tased, he jumps on the guy. They go to grab him, but Moosh then gets free, helps him escape, and he runs out. And then like he climbs up the little vent here and goes into the vents up in the ceiling tile. Then is able to get away. We see that they're actually where they're located now. Through this, that they're actually in the school gymnasium. So little things like that as we go through, and as he's running, we're seeing through his eyes. We're seeing that we see like some kind of like poison. And we see go through there, and there's all these computers here too. A symbol, a GH, someone working with blood. And as he goes through, he ends up running across. I love this. He runs across the keyboard here and computer soon. He just walk across, and you're able to read stuff, all these different emails. Is there anything talking about the virus and how to contain it, working on it, getting a cure and stuff, and just a subtle way of telling you exactly what's going on with the story. And then we see this dog here. He's freaking out. Obviously, this dog, we know which ones are infected because they have the bloodshot eyes. They're foaming in the mouth. And he's freaking out. He doesn't want to go in there. And they pull him up here. And he's like, Ghost goes to see what's going on. He's curious. And they see is the dog on the table here. And then they see they basically euthanize the dog. Now they're going to go dissect him. Very, very emotional book. But you also see, euthanasia in testing room, sterile room. He's like, well, so now he knows what that room is. He's like, don't avoid that room. Yeah, he runs in and he sees Moosh. And he runs in and he's like, oh, it's Moosh. Hey, I'm back, buddy. What's up? And then you see on the cage here that he's got a needle in the dog thing. He set up they're going to euthanize him, his buddy. And it's just like, what the heck? And at the end, this is really cool. So if you've ever read Stray Dogs, this is the Stray Dogs cameo. All the animals from Stray Dogs. Originally, the previous series. We're here now, here talking to them. So that's kind of cool. Of course, at the end, we also have all the pets and stuff. People call in or write in. Send pictures of their pets. And of course, you can also get feral T-shirts and Stray Dog stuff. Pastry, all these things. So go to 20fleeks.threadless.com. All right, number two. Number two is this is 56 pages. Issue 33, which is also legacy number 600 of Green Lantern. It's also now some people are complaining about this because not only is it we have a story introducing Kyle Rayner taking over. Some felt like it didn't feel like an anniversary. It just felt like you're just writing a new number one, which to me is actually pretty good for this because it basically it's you're having Kyle taking over. It's a story with him. First one, he's going to LA. He's basically going to go down to Earth because there's escaped science cell prisoners. Aliens have gone away, so he has to go down to Earth. Jeremy Adams is writing this for pretty much three of the stories, and then we have a backup, the last story by Ron Mars, the original writer of Green Lantern of Kyle Rayner. And Zermanico is doing the art on this, so we get all the stories here too. You can see. Yep. Different Dan Jurgens was on the third story, which I popped for because like Dan Jurgens is a fantastic artist and a writer too. I like him. So it starts out the first story. 1 week later, they're on a 405-10 interchange, Friday rush hour, aka hell. And she's like, and he's with Odyssey, and she's asking Kyle, "Why are we here? Because I want you to experience everything. This is LA, being in the traffic thing. That's part of the experience. If you've never been to LA and you've never experienced the traffic thing, you're missing out." And she's like, "Can we just fly?" He's like, "No." He's like, "You don't walk in LA or take public transit." She's like, "Weird." I was like, "Really?" And I've traveled through this time, so that's saying it's something. He's like, "You're going to love it here, honestly. LA is a city of dreamers. people looking for more. That there's nothing quite like it. She's like, it sounds like a circus. He's like, well, that's not actually too far off. And then he gets a message incoming from Corpse Leader Jessica Cruz. Now, the one thing I don't really like is the fact that Jessica Cruz is kind of like trying to, because she's now leading the Green Lantern because Hal didn't want to do it. And apparently John didn't want to do it either. So she's stuck basically being the temporary leader, of the Green Lantern Corps. And she's trying to like show her rank in here, asking him why it's taking so long to catch these things. And Kyle's like, relax. I've been a Green Lantern longer than you have. I know what I'm doing. Pretty much, gives her some lip back. It's like, and Kyle's pretty much remembering his childhood, stuff he wanted to do beforehand. And just basically, when he was in school, he'd draw stuff until one day he saw this girl who was being picked on. He just, he ends up basically trying to save her. But he also says here, is what I like about this. In the City of Angels, we get the origin of Kyle Rayner story here. For those who don't know, Kyle Rayner was an artist. He got his art skills from his mother, who has long since been deceased in the DC universe. But his mother was essentially, she said, like, I could get a lot of jobs doing, so if you want to do art, she says, but so because he asked her, he's like, it's like asked her once why she didn't try to get something more consistent, higher paying, and she said, Kyle, I work to live, and living to me is my art. So Kyle basically get the story here, man. Basically, he's like, he's like, being an artist gonna feel lonely at times, but and I'd love to have someone that gets me. That's where we get into Alex DeWitt and his first girlfriend. Talks about how and he also gets approached by this guy who looks like Stan Lee. He gives him a card. The card is like literally the card is called Coast City Comics Stan Lake, but so he ends up getting a job working for the guy, doing art stuff, and he talks about how he's living with a girlfriend, but the point is that he was so busy, so swamped with art and stuff, he couldn't go out and hang out there, and she just wanted to go party and all that stuff. So eventually they end up breaking up, because he doesn't have time for her when he's, so he tried to basically go back and talk to her while she's at the club, and she, and she's like, just kind of rejects him. So he goes out, and then of course this guy shows up in front of him, one of the Guardians. He gives him a ring. He's like, what? He's like, you'll have to do. He's like, what do you mean I have to do? What am I supposed to do? He's like, what you must. And we get this, so get the nice little recap of his origin story. Him getting the Green Lantern ring, and then basically the ring tells him you are the last of the Green Lanterns, So he's like, found out I was the last of the Green Lanterns. I became superhero, and she basically, so he's telling the story to Odyssey and tells her, hey, I helped rebuild the core, and I fought bad guys and learned that sometimes your dreams aren't just one thing. There are many things that give each room to grow. So we get that story here. We get this guy at this other comic book store or a studio lot in Hollywood, and he's all excited because he's got this brand new AI system. He's like, I don't need artists anymore. I'm just going to use AI pretty much, and then we can I don't have to use the current artists. And he's like, okay, whatever. And that's one of the biggest fears, I guess, that's been talked about too. If all of a sudden that comic book or companies just start doing AI instead of using actual real artists. All right. But of course, one of the escapee aliens finds him and basically possesses him. And through his use of technology, AI thing, it basically wants to take over. As they're moving into this place here, Wally shows up and helps them unpack real fast and kind of freaks them out. At least Odyssey, because she doesn't know what to expect. And Wally decides to take them for food since they don't have any. And Wally's like, why do you want to come to a burrito place behind a store? It's kind of weird. He's like, and then he bites into the burrito. He's like, oh, that's why. It's actually really good food. And It's nice to see Kyle and Wally bonding. It's been a long time since we've seen this. Usually, if we see it's Barry and Hal, but Wally and Kyle are cool too. I definitely hope we get more in the future. Wally teaming up with Kyle now that he's back on Earth. So Wally basically grabs the portfolio and basically he's like, "What? You want to pursue your dreams? You didn't do that?" It's like, "You could do that. I see how you draw." And he basically pushes Kyle and speeds him over into the parking lot or the compound of the studios. And he says like, "Dude, it's like you heard about how Spielberg got it started, sneaking onto the lot." He's like, "What's good for goose?" He's like, so he's going to show a portfolio to the guy, and he comes across the guy's worker who says like, "Hey, good luck with that. He just fired all his artists, you know." It's like the guy doesn't really art, but you can go find him, you know. And of course, he finds out the guy's possessed. So he's like, "Oh shit!" And so now Wally, Kyle, and Odyssey are gonna basically try to attack this creature, and eventually, long story short, they do take him down. A lot of cool art, and then of course, then we get meanwhile, we have Hal Jordan showing up, and he's talking to one of the Wonder Twins. I forget Gina, that's what her name is, yeah. And they're on a ship, and he's like, "What the heck?" He's like, "You told me a long time." He's like, "Hey, I was looking for my brother on Earth, but I couldn't find him because if you've been reading Aquaman, her brother was lost in the blue, and basically he's now back on Earth with Hal Jordan right now, or not Hal Jordan, but with Arthur and Mare and stuff, part of Justice League Blue." So they're stuck on the ship here, and probably the only ship to get off the island, get back to Earth, is blocked by the Manhunters, and they come across this ship here, and they're able. He's like, "Oh, you're from this one here?" He's like, "No, I could probably do it though." He's he's like, "You know how to fly?" He's like, "I know how to fly anything." So we have to wait till next issue to figure out where Hal's going now. And of course, we get mentioned this guy called Krona, who took on the form. He doesn't know why, but he took on the form of Hal Jordan. He's trying to figure out what's going on, and he's got this ship here, pretty much giving him information about Hal Jordan. Loading the Journal of Ganthet, Jordan Hal, and it's pretty much Hal Jordan's origin story here. Him talking about his father, so nothing really new. I didn't see any retcons, but then again, I haven't really read a lot of the Green Lantern over the years. I'm new to the Green Lantern series, but his dad basically died as a test pilot and stuff, and he wanted to follow his dad's footstep. And Hal sees a girl being bullied, so he decides to go and basically protect, and they both get called in the office. And Hal decides to go into the Air Force, but then, he becomes a test pilot, or actually, first he's in the U.S. Air Force, and he's flying planes, his dad did. Then he gets a call that his mom was sick, and he does what he could to take himself court-martialed and get kicked out of the Air Force and go, but he's too late. His mom died before he even got there. And he's pissed off, he's like, and he wants to get back in the air and stuff too. So he ends up becoming a test pilot for Ferris Air. And he says how he pursues a woman who basically wants nothing to do with him. And he eventually gets, pulled over, and he meets Avansar, or whatever his name is. I think it's Avansar, and basically gives him the Green Lantern stuff. And of course, we get this little nice splash page here of a brighter day. And then the last year story is Light in the Darkness. This is by as I said before, this is by hello to Jeff. Just popping here. So the last story is Ron Mars with Daryl Banks, the original team on Green Lantern back in the day with Kyle Rayner. Get a nice little story with them too. A lot of cool stuff here. Very worth the money for what this was, and I said it's a nice. I have the nice wraparound cover, but fantastic book. Definitely recommend it. Number one book though of the week though for me is Superman, issue number 36, Superboy-Prime is now taking over. Superboy-Prime has actually just been a fantastic thing. Now he's breaking the fourth wall. I know some people don't like it because of Deadpool and is pretty much overused it. She-Hulk was original, and then now Deadpool's using it, and then now he's using it too as well. And it starts off with him fighting against I think it's Re-Engine. I think that's what his name is. Yeah, here it says. But we start back a few hours earlier, where he's pretty much we have Mr. Terrific is talking to Lois Lane and stuff, and she's like, she's talking about her powers. He's like, yeah, they're gone again. She's like, I really don't care. I don't really need them. I've made my peace. And Mr. Terrific is like, is like, well, I'm more curious about what caused them. Was it great stress, or was it because you got hit with a blast? And she's like, I don't care. I don't want to use them anymore. I'm done. And he talks to her, and I love it. Is we got Vigilante riding his horse down the hallway in this. And of course we come across this. The girls are watching Superboy-Prime work out. Katana, we have Vixen, Zatanna, and Huntress are watching a check. And of course Lois Lane shows up and they're like, oh, gotta go by. And then she's like, okay, it's pretty much the next page is Superboy-Prime working out with shirtless and stuff. And yeah, she's like, oh, rolling her eyes and stuff. He's like, of course, and it's gotta be weird for her because he is a spitting image of her husband, who she's missing right now, and he is the younger version of him. So she's kind of like annoyed by that. And she says that we all know who Superboy-Prime is, and Terrific's trying to give us a nice recap by explaining. This guy, he comes from an alternate world where we're all comic book characters. So he's read every issue. He knows all our intimate personal secrets. So it's kind of made some people kind of not like him being here because the last time he was here too, he was murdering people left and right. And Lois sticks up, says, well, he honestly is trying to turn over a new leaf and redeem himself. He helped to stop Darkseid, and of course, Daily Planet, she's like, you got to get a job. He's like, what? He's like, no, I'm Superman. I'm not Clark. I'm not your CK. I'm not your husband. He's like, yeah, but she's like, you got to think about, you want to be a Superman? What would Clark do? So he's like, fine, I'll get a job, whatever. She's like, I get you a job in the mailroom in the Daily Planet. He's like, I don't want to be a mailroom. So then we get this here. He's all, he has a little speech. I want to show everyone here that I can be, just like cool Superman, even better. I'll have these different variant issues and stuff. I'll even get my own number 1 cover. He's like, and she's like, what? You talking about comic book? What? So he goes, and of course, something happens. He's singing the song Spider-Man, Spider-Man, the original 60s jingle, but he's singing as Superman. Well, Superman, I'm not gonna sing it for you, but yeah. So it's Ignition is like, he's like, and I love this because he's like pretty much us. He's like, Ignition, I haven't seen you since the late 90s. Even at oh, cool, you saw that late 90s edgy kind of redesign. And he just basically beats the shit out of him. Doesn't hold his punches, takes him down. And then after he basically saves some people, instead of letting him die because he doesn't, because he wants to be a hero, Ignition gets the upper hand on him and hits him. And of course, he's all angry and he's gonna grab it. And Lois is like, "Stop! He's already down." You're like, I'm like, how did Lois get there so fast? And he rips that, and all of a sudden you see him. He rips the head off of the thing. He's like, the only way to stop these villains is destroy him because that's what I'm not Superman. I'm better than Superman. And then he's like, wait, that's not right. What happened? Is it all my head? So after this. He sees a comic book shop and he thinks about, okay, I'll just get a job at a comic book store. And he walks in, these guys are talking about stuff and pretty much nerd comic book stuff. The guy's saying, we need the books in the back room in order. And he's like, and the guy's employee's like, you haven't organized the boxes since you opened boss. And he's like, that's the point. I need to know what's in the back there. We could all fill in the dollar bins or get graded to post online to sell. Listen, I'll do it as soon as I figure out who the artist was on Flash Comics #1. And of course, Superboy comes in. He's like, it was Harry Lampert. Gardner Fox wrote it, but Harry drew it. My name is CK, and I saw you wanted help sign. He's like, it's like I'm gonna hire a first fanboy who walks to the door, and he's like, listen, I'm glad to keep up with the Ox, but you still need to say. He's like, and he reorganized the guy's back issues. And he's like, oh shit, that fast? So hires him on the spot. And then we see him he's like, why do you have all these boxes? Comic books. Well, the guy wants me. I'm not up to date on my current comics, so the guy wants me to read, and get caught up. And he's carrying the box with Lois. He's and pretty much we see these girls here. You can see him here. These girls are checking him up because they think he's kind of hot and stuff. And Lois is like, oh, good grief. This is so awkward for Lois because the fact that it's Clark Kent, but it's not Clark Kent. It's a young version of Clark Kent, and girls are flirting with him, and he's flirting back. It's really weird for her. And of course, he gets a call once he gets settled down in this thing. And he's got his little room. He's like, I'll be fine here. Don't worry about Lois. He's like, I have a nice steady income. And he's reading a Superman book, and all of a sudden something else for help. And being the stupid idiot, he's like, oh, cool, it's prime time. So he rips his shirt open to show his symbol that he carved on his chest as a tattoo for whatever reason, because he's that much of an ego. And he flies off. And of course, someone's watching him. And he's like, that's why it's bloody interesting. A new kind of Superman to play with. One who has all the secrets in the universe. And of course, he's saying it's time for a British invasion because Manchester Black is now going to go target him in the next issue. Fantastic first start for this. Josh Williamson writing this. Dan Mora on the interior art as well doing the cover. Just a fun book. I am back with reading Superman again. I took a break during DCKL because I didn't care about any of that crap. It was kind of like just pushed on us. So you're kind of forced to read it or don't. So I skipped all that for the most part. And this was $5 for the #1. Now I did get a Vampirella's Carmilla magazine. This is the annual. And this has some of the back issues in here. So in case you missed them, this has 28, 24, 25, and 29. Which are basically recent issues, pretty much. And yeah. So a lot of cool art here. So if you miss out on a lot of these issues, this is a great way to collect them in the annuals. It's not the complete, but these are basically like samples from those books, some of the stories. And it's been a fun book. Plus, you can also get back issues if you want to. They've listed all every 1 through I believe it's 34. 32 just came out, and the annual 33 is next month. Then you have 34. So you can basically go to if you want to get back issues, there's a little form you can fill in the back here. You can also go online too. Go to actually you just cut them out. There's a little coupon here thing, and you fill it out like the old school way, and then you mail it with the money. The money. So, yep. So I said I've been really enjoying this, and if you've never checked out Vampires Carmilla, it's one of my only #1 magazine I'd recommend if you like the old original kind of Warren stuff or original Vampirella books. Hosting the horror stories and stuff. All fantastic art in here too. Plus, you get some. They talk about what's going up with classic monster movie conventions coming up too. You can check it out. Advertise for that. They'll be in Pennsylvania. A lot of them are popping up. You'll have Gary Conway, Butch Patrick, Daniel Roebuck, Jack Hill, Beverly Washburn, Daniel Roebuck. They have Bill Diamond, Stan Gordon, David the Rock Nelson. And it's just a lot of cool stuff in there. But that is it for me for this week, though. I'll turn you over to Jeff. You can choose to stay or leave, wherever you want to. Jeff?
Yep. Hold on. I was just having to turn my stuff back on. So, by the way, the guy, you love Farrell, don't you?
Yeah.
The guy who...
Tony Fleeks.
Yeah. One of the guys who works on Farrell is going to be at the Comic-Con that starts in a month up here.
Well, Tony Fleeks is the right artist. Trish Forstner is the one of the artists on the book.
Guy. So
he's probably the other artist of that book.
But anyway, I didn't really have a chance to read much last night. But what I did read was Midnight Man #1. It was in my box and I was planning on getting it anyway. It wasn't bad. There is stuff from the main book that you have to sort of know, but they showed it, so it's kind of cool. Have #2. Didn't read
nice.
it. Didn't need to. And I have this cover for Superman Spider-Man.
You did pick it up.
Huh?
So you did pick it up.
Yes.
Yeah, I passed on it. There's so many bad writers on their book.
That's my non-reader copy. I did get this one.
Nice.
The first story is the only one that I've read so far. With Spider-Man and Superman. That's not bad. It was actually pretty entertaining. It was quick, and it actually has kind of a...
One of my major complaints is that there's too many writers on there and different artists. The original first one just had one writer and another artist, and then you had some mini like file stuff or pinups in the back.
Well, this one was Truth, Justice, and Great Responsibility of Mark Waid and Jorge Jimenez. And that was, did you read that one?
I didn't read this at all. I passed on it because I looked at everything and I just didn't care for it.
It's kind of cool. You have it's in New York. Dr. Octopus is doing some work, and he has kind of an AI, and he asks, he says, "Discern Satan, my curiosity. Who does the public currently consider to be the leading expert in cyber robotics?" And he says, thinking, is his sources online said Dr. William Magnus. He's like, wrong.
It's Brainiac.
And who is our current leading authority on radiation? Generally, Dr. Robert Banner is known as, and he's like, yeah, artificial intelligence, my ass. And he wants to know how to convince everyone of his genius. But then someone starts talking to him, and it turns out that it's Brainiac 5. And they collab, and so you already have Clark and Peter in New York. And I guess Peter has wanted to get to work there because he's broke now and needs money and stuff. And they're going to they're going to a lab because someone had broke in and he wants to look at it. And it turns out that it was Dr. Octopus, and they're going to do a story on it, and they take off. And they're using some sort of he's trying to do some sort of telecommunications things that is faster than what is it? Faster than something. And it turns out that they are using kryptonite. And Brainiac 5 needs to download a virus out of his system in order to help him. Some people had uploaded in there, so Doc Ock is trying to help him, and then he do it, and it's just driving people crazy. So they have to work together to get it done. And it's only a few pages, and it's actually pretty well done. And then I guess they have one. The next one is Lois Lane and Mary Jane hanging out, but I did not get to read that one yet. So, but first story wasn't that bad. It was kind of entertaining. Then we have I haven't read any of these next ones. We have Final Boss number 5. Might be the penultimate one. Or this could be it. Let's see. Final Boss, Volume 1 end. So this is the final one. Ripcord number 2. I remember reading the first one, and it was pretty entertaining. And I saw you talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
You read it?
I haven't read any of these. I have Iron Man number 3. I've liked the first 2 so far. Love the cover of this one on Punisher number 2. Minor Arcana number 15. Then you're probably not going to like this one, but it is Detective 1107. And the one I'm looking forward to the most, Hyde Street number 11.
That was really good too.
Of course, I know it's going to be good. It's just I haven't had a chance to read it. But it's kind of weird. In 32 minutes downtown at our Performing Arts Center, Kevin Smith is going to be doing a talk. I have tickets for his show tomorrow night.
Oh, cool.
And I had bought a ticket, and I usually get off at 6 o'clock our time. Thing starts at like 7:30, so I was just gonna go to work with a change of shirt so I could pull off my work shirt and do it. But then I found out that at 4 o'clock, between 4 and 5:30, he is going to be at Bosco's up, a couple blocks up the street from here. So I went to my boss and said, "Hey, Kevin Smith is going to be there. Request time off." So I'm getting off at 2 o'clock. So that's what time I go to lunch. I'm going to go there, get his an autograph and all that stuff, then go to his show.
Nice.
And I was going through Friday. I was going through some this box that I have of X-Men. I had forgotten that I had a bunch of these things in there. I have X-Men 141, 142 in primo condition.
Nice.
Days of Future Past.
Yep.
So these are some of them. I have 201, which is the first appearance of Nathan Summers as a baby. First Jubilee.
Okay.
Which I don't know how much that would be worth. But then there is a big one. First appearance of the Cajun card thrower.
Ah.
And I have one of the first appearance of the civilian identity of Sinister, I think.
Any more books?
I have one that's at the post office. I came back and found the thing in my mailbox. They switched between just leaving them here or giving a thing where I have to go pick it up. And I was kind of pissed because I have to, go in the morning. And
I was just thinking about that, as far as who's the best X-Men, but honestly, some people say it's Wolverine's better or Gambit's better. I like them all equally. Storm, obviously I love the 90s, the lineup. Storm, Gambit, Rogue, Beast, Morph, Wolverine, and Jean Grey, But
it's who's helming it's who's writing it. You can have a really great character and they'd suck depending on if someone's writing it.
On one of the X-Men books, they had Boom Boom on there this week. And I was like, I wasn't sure who it was at first, and it kind of looked like Boom Boom, She didn't have her classic bubblegum pop on her face,
Boom Boom Washington. There's a character, a TV character by the name of Boom Boom, if I remember, some from the 70s.
Possibly. I mean, a lot of stuff is taken and repurposed for other people, other characters. Oh, but there. Thank you for putting your clothes back on before you went on camera. I wasn't aware that you had your clothes off. Thank you for
about like 30 seconds when I switched out of my work clothes to this. Yeah.
But alrighty though. I think that's about it though. If you guys saw any stuff that you liked, or like review stuff, leave a comment down below what you thought. Or if you guys got any books this week, that we didn't talk about, give us your small little review recap, in the comment section. But definitely have to get talk to Joe again. Joe was supposed to be coming on here soon again, getting his stuff set up. He's been kind of dragging his feet a little bit.
Oh, hey, do you want me to get a copy of Feral signed for you and send it to you?
I'm okay. I'm good. No, I'm fine. Yeah. Unless it's Tony Fleeks. Because I'm trying to remember what the other guy's name is. Because I have the issue right here. I can just look at it actually. It's probably Rodriguez. I'm thinking the guy you're talking about. That would be Tony Rodriguez.
I'm looking it up right now.
If it's the artist, because there's two artists. There's Trish Forstner, and then there's Tony Rodriguez. Tony Fleeks just does the writing. But oh man,
Tony Fleeks, artist Tony Fleeks.
Oh, he's gonna be there. Well, shit. If he's gonna be Tony Fleeks, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll have him.
Yeah.
So I announced that we will have comic book artist Tony Fleeks joining us.
Yeah.
February 25th and 26th.
Tony Fleeks is writing the new Deathstroke series over DC.
Stray Dogs, Feral, Uncanny Valley, Local Man, and Time Shopper.
Yep. Local Man's a really good series. Because he worked on that with Tim.
Hey, you know we like to root for the underdogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little scrappy team I'm watching now. The guy making $60 million a year drove in the guy making $70 million a year, and then the guy making $35 million a year drove in the guy making $60 million. It's good to know that those small market teams can produce some runs.
Yes.
Nice.
Why am I watching this?
I don't know. You're talking about running in scores, like talking about baseball?
No, I'm sorry. The point was, Kyle Tucker drove in Shohei Ohtani. The two of them together are signed for $940 million. Most owners aren't worth that much money.
I'm trying to figure out what you mean by drove in. Like, these are baseball players? Or,
yeah, I'm saying the Dodgers' payroll is over $500 million.
Oh, jeez.
That's why people are paying $80 for a freaking hot dog.
It's the last year Milwaukee won the most games in Major League Baseball. Dodgers just stepped on them.
I was watching a video of how much Chuck Norris got paid for a lot of his earlier movie stuff. He's making $2 million, $3 million. Those pictures in the 80s, missing in action stuff. I'm just thinking, like, that's crazy. Now, you think about that. What movie actor, billionaire, or movie actors or actresses is making as much as these baseball players?
There's nobody making it other than Robert Downey on like the last couple of Avengers.
Yeah.
Nobody's making as much as about 4 or 5 of the Dodgers.
Jeez.
Because
that's just crazy.
There are 5 guys on the Dodgers making $35 million or more.
And what happens when these guys get injured? Then their career's over, right?
Doesn't matter. No, it said if they get injured, I said the Dodgers have Ohtani pitches. He's signed for $700 million. Yamamoto, $360 million. Blake Snell, $182 million. Tyler Glass now, 140 million. Who am I missing?
So now these guys they almost pay for their own travel expenses.
No, they don't have to pay for anything. Team pays for all of
Wow. Because the wrestlers like in WWE and stuff. A lot of them, if they think they get paid money, but they have to pay for their hotels, their own flights, and those stuff. Unless they're going, it's just they pay for everything pretty much.
I mean, the season started today, but it's already over because there's no way in hell the Dodgers don't win it all again this year. No one else has a chance.
You need to start watching hockey. Leave baseball behind. Until we. Anyone want to bring back? Bring back the Sosa McGuire era. Bring back the roids. Because that was the best home run derby I've watched in like a long time. Was that one? Watching Sosa just cramming those balls in they're playing I think it was home run derby was in Milwaukee, wasn't it? I think that's where it was. They were doing it, and you're just seeing him Sosa crack those balls, and he hits it over the lights, and then goes out of the stadium in Memorial Park, and it's over 500 feet in South they're talking about. It's just crazy. Yeah, I think it was the Brewers because they had the yellow slide, that the Bernie Brewer goes down. Like, it's just nuts. But I don't know. People are so much anti-roids. I mean, like, there's specific ones you can use for helping and stuff, but it's like, I think it's called, is it PEDs? Is that the one you're taking, like the ones they use for medical stuff? I forgot what it is. There's like specific type of steroids they use. Those are the ones that Stallone was using too. And he got in trouble a couple years, 6 or 7 years ago. He got in trouble going into Australia because he had them on him. But yeah, unfortunately, that was the last time I thought baseball was actually entertaining. Was when Sosa and McGuire playing. That was a long time ago. I think that was 2015, 14. I mean, it might be 2011. But anyway, though, I think we'll wrap it up here. Tomorrow, I think we're going to go back into their World's Finest or Ghostbusters. It depends who's available and what we want to read. Going to schedule those for tomorrow night around 8 p.m. Eastern for the reading. If you haven't done so, check out our manga reading we did last night on the channel. What was it we read? Dan, the volume 2. So, and then check out Extreme Movie Show. If you like Columbo, and you're a fan of that, you can watch Columbo free right now. I believe it's on Tubi right now. Tubi TV, it's free to watch.
One more thing. Columbo. One more thing.
I know. I'm just wondering why you're saying that and you're interrupting me. How dare you? No. So if you want to go check out Rob and Professor Pixel here, aka Puppetine, they were over there and on Extreme Movie Show, and they're on the 4th season, and they just reviewed, I believe, episode 5 or 6. I think it was number 6.
Yeah, I turned that on yesterday. I was the only person watching. So I put in the comments, "Hi, I'm the audience."
Yeah, he does 3 streams. He does Doctor Who. He does Columbo, and then he does like some Lord of the Rings or something like that with one of the guys from. And it's weird if you could watching like his Doctor Who review stuff, like they have Jimmy still on the intro music stuff, but Jimmy's not on the channel anymore. As far as I know, he's done with the channel. I don't know what's going on, but I haven't seen him on any of their Doctor Who things in a long time.
Maybe he pulled a Zach.
No, Zach actually got married and has a life now. I don't know what Jimmy's doing. Jimmy was doing stand-up comedy, but I don't know if he's still doing that. RDV, you said you asked me if I could keep only one book. What would it be? What book would you keep? I answered that last week. I have the Marvel Tales Amazing Spider-Man number 33, I believe it is, with the steel bars trapped on his ball. He's trying to get
it's reprinting issue 33.
Yeah, reprinting. Yeah. Although I think I'm gonna have the original 33 as it is. too. I might have gotten that too as well recently, but I mean, if I had to quickly keep one book, that would be the one book. Now, I'm going to be getting rid of my books here, probably selling a lot of them back to my comic shop and stuff for instant credit. But the runs I'm keeping pretty much, I'm going to be keeping the Chuck Dixon, Joe Duffy, pretty much run of Catwoman from the 90s, and also keeping Whisper, and probably a few other ones, but for the most part, I'm going to be getting rid of a lot of my book. So I'm just saying,
if value was no object,
yeah,
I think the one I would keep would be the original Superman Spider-Man.
No,
that is such a fun read, and it goes back to I was 13 when I got it new. I still have my original copy, but I've upgraded to one that's not beat to death from having read it 40 times.
Can you get the $10 facsimile?
No need. I did have a comic book size facsimile.
Yeah.
But I've got 2 or 3 copies of it. And like one of them's like said, I can take out and read because it's well read.
Nice. Well, here's a serious thing. As far as the Spider-Man stuff, I mean, for physical media stuff, I still have the CD-ROM collection of all like 1 through 560 on 11 discs, CD-ROM discs, so I can read them that way too. That's how I originally read them. I read everything on digital before I went to physical media, and I still read digital that way because it's easier for me. I can just read it, and just put it away. I'm not one of those people who has to sit there and huff the pages. It's like I wouldn't recommend it with today's ink.
That's the only way to read a 60s book, though.
There are some books that are not available through reading online stuff, but and plus if you want the original coloring and the detail stuff, it's kind of cool to have.
No, I'm saying if you've got a book from the 60s, you have to huff it. It's required.
Unless it smells like ass.
No, it smells like old pulp. It's great.
The ones I come across.
Ask any fossil if they've ever stuck their nose in a book from the 60s and taken a deep breath. You will get yes across the board.
Hey, what's up, Chibi? Chibi is one of my new friends. She streams over on Twitch. She was playing Alien Isolation earlier today. Go check out her channel if you have Twitch.
Guarantee you Jackson's done that.
Probably. Jackson's weird. He also talks about the weather.
Yes, that one, Henry.
You mean the Treasure Edition, Superman, Spider-Man, Ross Andrew? Yeah, the original Treasure Edition version of that. I like it. Like I said, I love the original stuff. I don't like it when they take okay, let's reboot it and then give you more short stories by writers that don't know how to write or understand the character.
We talked about this. It didn't feel special, and that's the problem.
No, it felt like every other one-shot annual.
Their first team up in 45 years, and the first meeting in almost 30. Yeah, it should have been more than just the lead story in a.
And why do we? We asked, why do we have Frank Castle, the Punisher, and Power Girl, and and like Jimmy Olsen? If it's Spider-Man, Superman, they should be the only main story. I don't want other characters having stories, in their thing.
You know what I would have been 100% fine with? I still think they should have done it Treasury size, but I get why they didn't. If that had been a full, see, I told you. If that had been a full length, like 64-page story with just the two of them,
yeah.
And if they had done a side comic with all the other characters in their own stories,
yep.
Not that you couldn't use them in the main story, but it just, like I said, it took all like I said, perfect case in point. There were 4 books that were ordered more than that this week, at least according to League of Comic Geeks. That should have been number 1 by a stratospheric margin.
Yep. Have a good night, Chibi. Have a good night, Chibi. Hi, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear it whenever you're watching. You're watching us. That's what happens when you don't mute yourself and then you go to watch the stream. My first one is so special, and it's when you don't. He's having an issue there. Thanks for watching, Chibi. Hope you have a good night.
Tell you what, speaking of like Jeff, little thing there. Yeah, I was listening to a CD on my stereo,
and
it was a tiny bit too loud. My brother called, so I went to turn the stereo down. So I turned it down. Volume went up. I've never. I don't know if it's like if my stereo is about ready to go off and see Dorothy and Toto, but try to turn it down. And suddenly it's like blasting my eardrums out.
Here's what's funny. I have a Roku device in my living room, and then I have one in my parents' room, and they're right next to the living room area because it's a one ranch style home. You know, I have my room, and then next door is my parents' room, and then I have the living room there. So I go to use the Roku remote to turn the TV on, and I have turning out the Roku in her room. Because they're right next to each other, and because you can use these remotes on any Roku device, it's in the house. So that's one of the most annoying things too. So you have to like close the door, otherwise you turn you're turning everything on and off. It's a pain in the butt. But one of the coolest things I've seen with technology is the fact that for those who grew up with the big box, big tube TVs, the only way you could watch TV with headphones is the wired ones, and you had to plug it into the jack in the front. Now, if you want to watch stuff, through Roku has, on the remote has an actual like thing on the side you can plug your headphone jack into. You can listen to the TV you're watching through the remote. It's crazy, but I like it. It's one of the coolest things ever. Instead of having to like sit at the edge of the your chair and just have the leaning in so that your 9-foot cord can reach the actual TV plugged in there, or you sit on the ground. Yeah. It's like, your parents will tell you, don't sit in front of the TV too close, you'll go blind or whatever. Never had that issue. Trying to find my smoke so I could go out and get a snow. Why are you getting snow from outside? I understand that, bro. I'm just messing with you. Rich Buckler, FF Silver Surfer Doom. Anyway, though, yeah, that's one of the other things that sucks about now is I got over my head cold. I'm a lot better now. But I still have the post-nasal drip stuff. So, and plus, I hope I'm not getting sick again too. Plus, that we have the heat on again here, so that's really fucking with my sinuses right now. Part of my language, my French, whatever. So I'm right next to the furnace, which is basically just to the right of me over here. So I actually be over here because it's my right hand, so it'd be right here. And so it blows the hot air at me. So it's kind of like being in your car and you have the heater on blowing at you, your face, like your face just dries up. That's kind of how I am doing this. That's why I usually get really warm. And you see my face just starts going kind of red too. So I'm dying. I'm like a little roast oven. But anyway, though, probably end it here though. But got the new PC set up and everything right now, so everything's all running smoothly now. And one of the most annoying parts though is basically trying to find websites that I had as favorites and reinstalling them, I couldn't remember what, like, for browsers you can sign into them, like you can do with Chrome or Firefox. I couldn't remember what it was because I didn't have it. Everything. I don't really write stuff down on paper and stuff. A lot of it's on like Word documents and stuff. And I had to go, like, because I went on Windows 11 now, so I had to switch everything over, and find something replace WordPad, which was a free program that you had through through Windows 10, and they discontinued that. And Microsoft now wants you to use Microsoft Word. They want you to pay for everything. Took away a lot of my programs that I use for free, because now they don't give a shit about the people anymore, and they just want you to spend more money. So I'm like, oh fuck. So luckily, my friends who are fly the high seas found me some free programs to use. But all right, though. I either want The Boy Who Collected Spider-Man or the FF issue with Johnny and I believe they Beyonder. That special issue. The Boy Who Collected Spider-Man is pretty good. Anything by Roger Stern is pretty much, in my opinion, just a fantastic story. The Superman story that I believe was it Adventures of Superman? I think it was. Or Superman, was it not Superman Adventures? It was Adventures of Superman. I think it was, where Alice, who's been living inside like the Daily Planet, she's able to get with Perry, gives her a spot, to live with her, offers to let her live with them, and just a lot of cool stuff. A lot of touching issues. But anyway, though, I'm rambling, and that's never good. And people are kind of like tuning in, tuning out here, so I'm not sure what's going on. But I'm guessing there's a cover ranking tomorrow, because
I don't know if he'll be back tomorrow in time to do one, but
he never left.
What?
He never left to go down to Florida.
He didn't go to Florida?
No, he pushed it off a month. So him and Gail went to the Dolly Parton Museum today. So I was surprised, like, because he messaged yesterday. He said in the group that he's like, "Oh, I didn't go." So I was like, okay. So I thought maybe you guys were gonna go live last night, but turned out he didn't. He just gave you the night off. So he hasn't said anything about cover ranking tomorrow, or auction on Saturday. So I don't. I'm assuming everything's gonna be back to normal. So I don't know, but I'm gonna schedule something for tomorrow for reading, and then it's gonna be normal here. We'll have a Saturday evening reading, and then a Sunday evening reading too as well. So, and then over at Extreme Movie Show, Robert are returning back to doing episode 6 of season 1 of Miami Vice and reviewing that. But all right, that's about it though. You guys know the drill. Click like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and we'll see you tomorrow night then. Have a good night, stay safe, and read some good books.
Good night,
guys.
Good night.